In order to help Canelo Alvarez get ready for his impending fight with Terence Crawford, Jaron Ennis recently joined him at his training camp. However, due to the stark differences in their techniques, Brian Norman Sr. claimed that Canelo Alvarez is not adequately prepared for Terence Crawford by sparring with Jaron Ennis. He clarified that the only true resemblance between Boots and Crawford is their innate ability to swap stances. Aside than that, they fight entirely differently. Norman went on to say that although he has never understood how they compare, he still thinks working with Ennis is beneficial because all excellent sparring is well-prepared and sharpened skills.
Give him a better chance. I mean, I think it's good work. Crawford, I don't think Crawford fight. I'm not Crawford. I don't think Boots fight like Crawford at all. That was just, I think the comparisons they was making initially was just as they both were switch hitters and they both could be so naturally. That's really the only thing that they do the same. They don't do anything else the same, literally. So I never understood the comparison in that myself. But I think it's still a good look because all work is good work and you want the best work.
Furthermore, according to Breadman Edwards, it was a wise choice to choose Jaron Boots as Canelo Alvarez's sparring partner because, despite their differences, Boots and Terence Crawford have a lot in common. He clarified that the work is extremely valuable because both are capable of switching stances, fighting as boxer punchers, and possessing a lethal mentality. Edwards stated that he has known Boots for more than 10 years, having initially hired him to spar Julian Williams in 2014 and saw his development in Philadelphia gyms. This decision demonstrates that Canelo is taking the bout seriously, he continued. And even though this move causes some people to reconsider their decision, he still thinks Crawford will prevail. Since I would be preparing for Crawford.
Because if I was getting prepared for Crawford, I would use Boots as a sparring partner. If I was getting prepared for Boots, I would use Crawford as a sparring partner. I think that they're not exactly the same. No two people are, but they're very, very similar in styles with the switching, boxer puncher, killer mentality. They got a lot of things similar. So I think it was a good move by Team Canelo. And I got a kid that I trained that boxed Boots, Crawford, and Canelo. So. And obviously, being from Philly, I done seen Boots in the gym for the last 11 years. Literally, the first time I ever hired him was in 2014 to spar Julian Williams. So I've been around him a long time. And I think it was a good move, you know. I'm still rocking with Crawford, but I know some people that was like, man, I'm changing my pick now because that's like the best spar you could get. And they showed them that Canelo is taking this fight super serious. So I respect everybody's opinion, but I'm still rocking with Crawford. I still think he's gonna pull it off.
Additionally, Andre Dallal claimed that Jaron Ennis's decision to join Canelo Alvarez's camp is retaliation against Terence Crawford for not confronting Boots when he called him out in 2024. He clarified that on September 13, 2025, Crawford decided against pursuing Canelo Alvarez in favor of a larger chance that promised more prestige, a larger salary, a bigger brand, and a greater legacy. Although it is too late for Boots to win that battle right now, Durrell said he is eager to watch how this camp develops Boots' fighting abilities, tenacity, and ring IQ.
The camp with Canelo. I do believe this is get back on Crawford for not taking the fight with Boots back in 2024 when Boots called him out. But Crawford was on the bigger and better things, baby. That bigger and better things being Canelo Alvarez, September 13th, 2025. Bigger legacy, bigger name, bigger payday, bigger status. So, too little, too late, Boots. But I am looking forward to how you advance in your career after this because this camp is definitely going to level you up, man. You're going to get better because of it in every aspect. Toughness, skill set, smarts.
Go camping with Canelo. This, in my opinion, is retaliation against Crawford for not defending himself against Boots when Boots called him out in 2024. However, Crawford had larger and greater plans, sweetie. Canelo Alvarez is the bigger and better thing. September 13th, 2025. Greater reputation, greater legacy, greater income, and greater prestige. So, Boots, too little, too late. However, I'm excited to see how your career develops after this because, this camp will undoubtedly elevate you. You will improve in every way as a result. Intelligence, skill set, and toughness. He continued by saying that Boots will advance in every way as a result of this experience and get him ready for new tasks. Darrell stated that he thinks Crawford will probably leave after tonight, particularly if he wins, and that Boots will need to look for other chances going ahead. Echoing Roy Jones's statement that Canelo must be at his peak, he urged Boots to give him hard work in camp since Canelo will need it. Darrell concluded by expressing his excitement for Boots' future professional path following this camp.
You're going to get a lot from this camp, champ. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do because of it. You're already a bad man, dog. I want to see where you take it from here, but Crawford, so I believe he's walking away in the sunset, especially if he walk away with the victory, which I'm hoping for. But you, champ, you got to set up for something else. You Canelo that work, man, he's going to need it. He's going to need it. According to Roy Jones, Canelo got to be on his A game. You got to be on yours too, man. We're looking forward to seeing what you do after this. It's raining on me right now, so I'm going to cut this short, baby. For Boots. Get somebody else, champ. Get somebody else. I'm out.
Jaron Boots Ennis will benefit much from training with a top fighter like Canelo Alvarez, who has encountered every technique possible, according to Greg Hackett. He clarified that Canelo has already encountered fierce brawlers, short fighters, tall opponents, slick movers, and southpaws. Thus, sparring with him offers a plethora of exposure and experience. Working with someone as self-assured and prepared as Canelo is crucial for a fighter's development, Hackett continued.
I mean, Jaron Ennis get from it being with the elite, a guy who's prepared for everything. One thing you can't say about Canelo is that he hasn't seen something. Canelo seen southpaws, seen tall guys, short guys, slick fighters, he seen bulls, he's been up against everything. So you get a world of experience with a guy like Canelo. You get a guy who's in full confidence with a guy like Canelo.
AKO expressed his satisfaction that Jaron Boots Ennis sparred with Canelo Alvarez because it provided him with elite sparring, which he seldom receives because he typically dominates people in his neighborhood. He clarified that Canelo also stands to gain greatly from this move, particularly in the lead-up to a bout against Terence Crawford that he sees as a real 50-50 contest. AKE pointed out that Crawford has greater attacking capabilities and that even though they fight at different divisions, their walkout weights could not be that much apart. Canelo's opportunity, however, is to injure him early, break off the ring, and make the evening difficult.
I'm glad that he did it because, one, that gives him, I guess, top-level sparring, because Boots is always looking for sparring too because he's tearing guys up here. So I've never seen him travel anywhere to spar. I don't know if he has. Maybe he does. I don't know. But for him to do that, that's a big step for him. But beyond that, it's a better step for Canelo because, honestly, somebody asked me the other day, I think my fiance might have asked me, like, who you think will win the fight? You don't really know boxing. So I was like, yo, this is actually one of the few fights that's 50-50 to me because they both highly skilled and then their walk-around weights, you really don't know how far off of each other they really are in regards to true size because although Crawford fights at a lower weight, they may walk around at a similar weight, you never know. Frame-wise, they're not that far off. So, and then also Crawford has a lot more tools in the bag in regards to offense. Like, he got a lot of offensive skills. So I said, okay, well, if Crawford fights his fight, he can make it difficult for Canelo. And if Canelo can hurt Crawford early and corner him and cut the ring off real well, he can make it a difficult night for Crawford.
Teddy Atlas, however, stated that he might envision Terence Crawford winning because of Canelo Alvarez's recent results, which point to a potential deterioration. He questioned whether Canelo had lost his drive after making so much money, gotten old in the sport, or just lost his passion. Atlas also brought up the possibility that Canelo may have been overpriced, citing claims that Floyd Mayweather had soundly defeated him and that he had lost the first bout against Gennady Golovkin. He went on to argue that although some people justified Mayweather's defeat by claiming Canelo was too young, he had been a professional for many years by that point.
Yeah, I could see Crawford winning. And why? Well, Canelo's last performance, real quick, what could it be? I already went over this. You want to hear it in a deeper breakdown? Canelo, he's either old man time, that undefeated guy, he finally caught up to him. He's made so much money that the urgency's not there, the fire's not there. At least it wasn't there a week ago. Oh my God, I'm going to say this one. Maybe he's a little overrated. I listen, you know, you can make the argument that he lost the first Triple G. But you can make the argument he lost a lot. He did lose so he was too young in his career. Maybe. Although it wasn't that young. He turned pro when he was 15 or 16. He was 23. He was already pro for how many years?
Moreover, Amamir Khan said he knows Terence Crawford well and described him as mentally strong and extremely focused, calling him a killing machine when he locks in on something. Khan explained that Crawford has a switch that once triggered makes him fearless and relentless, very different from fighters who take a gentler approach. He recalled seeing Crawford spar and even wrestle with heavier opponents, taking them down and making them struggle despite the size difference. Khan added that while people talk about Canelo Alvarez being stronger or punching harder, Crawford's core strength and overall toughness are underestimated, and many will be surprised by how powerful he really is.
Well enough where, the guy is so mentally strong, and when he sticks to one thing and he's focused, he's a killing machine. Honestly, like, I've been there with him, you know what I mean? And I've seen him when he triggers, you don't want to switch that. You don't want to have that switch because the guy is an animal and he has no fear. With us, we were nice guys, you know what I mean? We were a little bit more nicer than him. When I was a fighter myself, he's total opposite to me. He's a proper killer, bro. Like, he don't give a damn. He's one of them that just let's go to war.
Saw him spar bigger guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, he had sparring heavier guys, but I've seen him wrestling more heavier guys, really. And boxing, yeah, but wrestling heavier guys and taking them down. Now, bro, making them scream. Honestly, we was doing that. Now, that's why when people said to me, Canelo's stronger, but I don't know if Canelo's stronger at punching maybe, but at that body weight, that strength, that core strength, Crawford's a beast. People are not gonna expect that from Crawford.
Antonio Tarver added that Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford are both great enough to win this fight, making it impossible to choose one over the other with confidence. He emphasized Canelo's strength, power, and durability, pointing out that he has only had one serious setback in his career. Tarver clarified that Canelo's intellect in the ring is demonstrated by his ability to either accept or escape a punch. Conversely, he hailed Crawford as one of the most talented fighters who inspired other future champions with his dedication, hard work, and leadership.
You don't know who's going to win the fight. Just say that. Both of these guys' greatness can win this fight. You feel me? Both of these guys' greatness can win this fight. You would be crazy to think Canelo can't win this fight with his power and strength. And this man ain't never been hurt, really never been in trouble before. But that one time,
shout out to Cotto, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that one time, Cotto,
the younger brother, the other brother. Yeah.
That's the only time we seen Canelo shook up. So he learned how to either take a punch or not get hit with that punch. Smart. You feel me? Tank, man, one of the most.
What do you mean, Bud?
I'm sorry, Bud. One of the most gifted fighters out there, bro. And he got it the hard way. You feel me? The hard way. Through work, commitment, and dedication, man. Being a leader, he's really led a lot of these young champions. You feel me? So Crawford has stood out from the beginning, bro.
Despite being a huge supporter of Canelo Alvarez, Richard TZ stated that he prefers Terence Crawford since he knows him well and finds his abilities impressive. Crawford's outstanding defense, ability to adjust to opponents, and versatility as a switch hitter with a variety of talents were all commended by him. Torres clarified that Crawford has the skill and pound-for-pound capacity to rise to the challenge over the long run, making the fight extremely thrilling to watch, while Canelo always brings fight-ending power, especially at a heavier weight where he is naturally settled.
So I'm a Canelo fan through and through. You know, he's one of my favorite fighters. But I know Terence Crawford personally, and I'm a little biased for Crawford, so I am leaning towards Crawford. Crawford has some of the best defense I've ever seen, and I think he styles his defense to the fighter too. You know, like what he did with Spence and some of these other guys. It's impressive.
Switch hitting?
You know, the switch hitting, being able to do so many different. He has so many different assets and abilities that I'm leaning towards Crawford, but I'm leaning towards Crawford in the long game. I don't necessarily. I think Canelo will always have that one-shot killer shot, you know, and so he has to watch out for it, especially at a bigger weight. Where Canelo, he's filled in that weight, you know, he was able to really move up and take on and personify that weight. I think that Crawford has to be able to do that himself, but if anyone can do it, Crawford can do it. You know, Crawford's one of the pound for pound guys, and I'm just excited to see that fight from you, honestly.
According to David Hay, Terence Crawford is the only person who can pull off the unimaginable feat of defeating Canelo Alvarez. He acknowledged that he never imagined the day would come when these two combatants would be in the same ring. As a former light heavyweight champion and the undisputed super middleweight champion, Canelo had a history of competing at considerably heavier weights. Hay originally thought that Canelo's inherent stature would always give him the upper hand over lesser opponents. However, after observing them side by side, he discovered that their sizes were more similar than anticipated, making this a real pound-for-pound battle.
If anyone can do the impossible, and that's beating Canelo, I've been a fan of his for a long time, and likewise with Crawford, I never thought there was a version of reality where they'd both be in the ring with each other. I initially automatically assumed, because Canelo's obviously beaten, because he was the light heavyweight champion of the world, undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, he's just campaigned at a much bigger weight, so it's the biggest them beats usually. And so I saw them standing next to each other and they looked the same size. I couldn't quite figure it out. I was like, okay, if they're the same size, then it's literally pound for pound. Who's pound for pound better? And that's it, they're both pound for pound fighters. A lot of people have got them 1 and 2.
He clarified that although he first selected Canelo, he has since changed his mind because Crawford, like Andre Ward, is a very calculating boxer who would not take on such a risky task unless he was certain he possessed the abilities to prevail. Hay referred to this battle as a fantasy fight that boxing fans have long desired and dubbed it a unique encounter between two top fighters. A fight of this magnitude would have been unthinkable 10 years ago, he continued, but the state of boxing now makes it feasible.
I favoured Canelo starting off, but over time, I'm starting to think, once again, Crawford is one of those guys where he reminds me of kind of Andre Ward a little bit, their mindset, and he wouldn't put himself in a position if he didn't know for sure he had enough firepower to deal with someone of Canelo's stature and Canelo's history. But it's the two best fighters on the planet mixing it up. It's one of those dream fights, the proper trades fight, you know, that anyone who's interested in boxing and want to see two living legends going at it. Yeah, I can't believe it's actually happening. Does that make sense? Because they're so big in their own right. The fact that fight would never have happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It just wouldn't have happened. And now anything's possible in boxing. Anything's possible.
Andre Ward expressed his excitement about being ringside at Allegiant Stadium for what he described as a historic evening with significant stakes for both competitors. He emphasized how rare it is for elite boxers to select such high-risk bouts over safer alternatives in today's sport and commended Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford for jeopardizing their names, legacies, and super middleweight status at this point in their careers.
I'm excited to be a part of this event. I'm excited to be ringside calling this great card and this great matchup. Historic event for many reasons for both fighters. Super middleweight supremacy on the line, legacies on the line, your namesake and reputation is on the line, and I just take my hat off to both of these fighters for putting everything on the line late in their careers the way that they are. This is rare, and it's becoming more and more rare in boxing. Guys don't want this kind of smoke. They really don't want to face another counterpart that can ruin everything that they built. And it really don't matter how much money's on the table for a lot of guys. They'd rather take a lesser risk for less money than to risk everything like these two fighters are doing. So I take my hat off.
Timothy Bradley Jr. stated that as both fighters will want to test each other's strength in the first few seconds of the fight, he anticipates Canelo Alvarez will want to control the middle of the ring and perhaps walk lightly on his feet early. He clarified that Canelo often finds his rhythm more quickly than Terence Crawford, and that the early rounds will concentrate on location, balance, and determining the ideal distance to land efficiently while avoiding counterattack.
We'll try to control the center of the ring. I think he might even box a little bit on his toes. Due to the fact because he wants to feel the punching power, and vice versa. Crawford wants to feel his punching power as well. In the beginning, it's all the position balance. Like both guys are trying to get balance and trying to find their rhythm. Understanding their distance to where they can punch and at the same time avoid getting hit. It takes Crawford a little bit of more time than I would say Canelo to get right.
Hamza Shiraz went on to say that he thinks Canelo will start to take control and dominate the battle as it goes on. but that the opening 6 rounds of the bout would be quite competitive.
How do you expect his fight with Terence to go in September? I expect the fight to be very competitive for the first 6 rounds. I think Canelo to take over and dominate.
Terence Crawford has a genuine opportunity to win, according to Ronnie Shields, who described the contest as thrilling. He clarified that Crawford will have a distinct fighting style from boxers like Callum Smith or Aries Landy. Lara creates holes by utilizing his abilities to change stances, vary his movement, and take advantage of counterpunching. Shields went on to say that Crawford believes the best method to test Canelo's dominance is to break Canelo's rhythm and put him in awkward spots if he can make Canelo Alvarez miss and then quickly take advantage of those times.
I think it's going to be a great fight. You know, I've been asked this question a lot the last couple months.
Yeah.
And I really and truly believe that Crawford has a great chance. You know, Crawford is not going to fight him like school fought him. He's not going to fight him like Lara fought him. Crawford is going to be doing a little bit of ins and out, I believe. Turning left-handed and right-handed. And, you know, for me, I think he's going to give Canelo a problem because Canelo probably going to think he's going to be moving a lot. And I don't think so. I think Crawford is going to practice, you know, rely on his counterpunching abilities and then start taking the lead and putting Canelo in positions he's never been in, you know, in a long time. So, and I think that's the right way to fight Canelo. You know, you can't worry about his power. You just got to worry about making him miss and then countering him and being effective. And Crawford has all the ability to do that.
That's